Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we will explore the story of Jack receiving a $1 million contract and Tien's touching dream. Jack shocked the entire construction industry when he won the bid for a $1 million hospital project, officially entering the ranks of the most successful young entrepreneurs. But while everyone was congratulating him, Tien, the girl who was silently by his side throughout the journey, expressed a surprisingly simple dream. What she wished for made the online community emotional and excited. After officially establishing a construction company called J&T Construction, Jack understood that if he just sat around waiting for opportunities, he would never be able to compete with the big guys in the industry. He decided to step out of his comfort zone and attend specialized seminars, where hundreds of investors, architects, developers, and veteran names in the construction industry gathered. Every time he entered the large auditorium, where the headlights were shining and people in neat suits walked confidently, Jack could not help but feel like an outsider. He did not have a prominent brand, nor any familiar relationships, but what he did have were sharp eyes, a determined heart, and an unwavering belief in his own abilities. At a national conference held in Ho Chi Minh City with the theme, Building a Modern Post-Pandemic Healthcare Infrastructure, Jack happened to learn about a major project, rebuilding the Central General Hospital, one of the oldest medical facilities in the city. The project has a total investment of more than 30 billion Vietnamese dongs, equivalent to nearly 1.3 million United States dollars, attracting the attention of dozens of large and small contractors. The organizers announced that it would hold a public bidding, and contractors could submit their applications immediately after the seminar. All eyes in the auditorium immediately turned to the registration area. Jack was silent, but a fire was burning inside. This was the opportunity he had been waiting for all these years. Without hesitation, he stepped forward, left his business card, and asked to receive the bidding documents. During the next 3 weeks, Jack almost hid in the office, working with his team of engineers to study every technical detail, proposing an optimal drawing with an automatic ventilation system, sustainable materials, and a smart construction process to shorten the progress while still ensuring safety. He did not have the advantage of scale, but he made up for it with technical capacity, creativity, and a sense of responsibility. On the day of his presentation to the board, Jack appeared in a simple, neat suit, without any flashiness or pretentiousness. He stood firmly in front of more than 15 people in the evaluation board, confidently presenting each design solution and each construction step. He affirmed, "I don't build a project to gain fame. I build it as if my mother would be treated in that very hospital." The statement made the whole audience silent for a few seconds. A few weeks later, the good news came. Out of dozens of applications, Jack won the bid. It was not only his first $1 million bid, but also a milestone proving that courage to step out of the shadows, combined with true ability, can bring an unknown person onto the big stage of life. After receiving the official news of winning the bid, Jack stood still in the middle of the convention center's main hall, where the lights were still flickering behind him. The flow of people passing by, the footsteps, the calls of business representatives seemed to fade away. At that moment, the first image that appeared in his mind was not the project board, nor the bonus or the achievement. It was his mother, the woman who had worked hard all her life to raise him, and Tien, the girl who had accompanied him through the difficult days. When the company did not even have a proper office, Jack hurriedly packed up his documents and left the building in a joyful mood like a child. He did not catch a taxi, nor did he celebrate with his colleagues. He called a motorbike taxi and simply said, "Go home, as fast as possible." The way home seemed shorter. Each street, each red light became gentler than ever. His heart was pounding, not because he had just won a big deal, but because he was about to personally deliver the good news to the people he loved the most. When the small gate in front of the house opened, Jack saw his mother watering the flowers, and Tien was busy in the kitchen preparing dinner. He couldn't hide his smile. His mother looked up, saw Jack coming home early, and asked in surprise, "Why did you come home at this hour? Didn't you stay for the meeting?" Jack didn't answer, just walked over and hugged his mother, his head resting on her shoulder, like when he was a child, just getting a bad grade at school. But this time, the tears weren't because of disappointment, but because of happiness. He choked up and said, "Mom, I won the bid. That big hospital project, they chose me." His mother was stunned for a few seconds. Then she hugged him tightly. Her voice trembled, her eyes began to blur in the late afternoon light. "Really? Oh my God, I'm so happy. Finally, all your hard work has paid off." Tien ran out of the house, heard the story. She shouted happily and hugged Jack tightly. She didn't need to ask for details. Just looking at his eyes was enough to understand. Jack had truly entered a new chapter of his life. The three of them hugged each other in the small yard, the place that had witnessed the days when Jack failed, was frustrated, and even thought of giving up. There was no champagne, no flowers or bright background. There was only a simple afternoon meal, warm laughter and the sparkling eyes full of pride of his mother and the girl he loved. But to Jack, that was the most valuable celebration of his life. After a simple but cozy dinner, Jack and Tien walked out onto the porch together. The sun had set, the last rays of sunset still lingering on the bamboo grove in the distance. A light yellow and dreamy like silk. The cool afternoon breeze, carrying the scent of ripe rice and the familiar smell of moist soil, seemed to bring them back to their childhood years, where all the simplest and most sincere dreams began. Jack sat leaning against the wooden pillar, and Tien sat next to him, still holding the cup of ginger tea his mother had just made. The two of them did not rush to say anything. They just quietly looked out into the yard where his mother was cleaning the dishes, each movement as steady as the rhythm of an old song. Behind them was the kitchen light shining through the window, a soft yellow, creating an unusually peaceful scene. A moment later, Tien spoke, her voice as light as a breeze. "Jack, I have a small dream. Not as big as your $1 million project, but I've always cherished it." Jack turned to look at her, his eyes gentle. "Tell me, I really want to hear." Tien smiled, a gentle and shy smile like a morning sun. She put down her teacup, her eyes looking out to the distant sky, where the stars began to twinkle. "I still love the harvest job. I love the feeling of walking in the middle of the vegetable garden, bending down to pick each squash, picking each ripe tomato. Every time I harvest by myself, I feel like I'm truly alive. I don't want to give it up." She paused for a moment, her voice low but full of determination. "I want to be able to bring clean food from my hometown, things grown by my own hands, without chemicals, to sell to a larger market. I know it will be difficult, but I believe that if I do it properly, there will definitely be people who believe and support me." Jack said nothing, just looked at her with eyes full of admiration. In his heart, nothing is more precious than a woman with a dream, and that dream is associated with something so honest and kind. Tien turned to look at him, her eyes sparkling in the dim light of the porch. "Then if we can, I want a small house. It doesn't need to be luxurious, just a slightly larger kitchen so that I can cook for you every day. When you come home from work, you're tired, having hot rice and sweet soup, and me waiting for you is enough." Jack smiled lightly, his heart sinking with emotion. Tien continued, her voice whispering, "And a garden, enough for me to grow vegetables, some flowers, and a few fruit trees, so that in the morning I can go out to the garden to pick some vegetables. In the afternoon I can water the plants, and in the evening we can sit like this, telling each other what we did during the day." Jack reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. He didn't say a word, because he knew there was no need for fancy promises, as long as he is steadfast, as long as he does not forget the reason why he started. Then what she said, definitely, he will make it come true. In the quiet space of the countryside, with only the sound of crickets and the gentle fragrance of wildflowers at the end of the lane, Tien's small but beautiful dream is like a gentle lullaby for Jack's heart, a person who has just touched success but still has a heart full of the simplest things in life. The next day, at dawn, when the first rays of sunlight were still creeping through the foliage, Jack and Tien woke up, getting ready to go to the farm together. The pickup truck that Jack used for construction started, emitting a familiar sound as if calling them to go. In the trunk, Tien carefully prepared a large basket, some crispy fried dried fish, some hot-boiled potatoes, a bag of fragrant white rice and a separate bottle of fish sauce, all for Mr. Dung, who had been in charge of the farm since Jack was busy running the contract. Tien also did not forget to bring a small bag of dried food for the cats at the farm, her adopted children from the previous seasons, now probably grown up and more ferocious. But in her memory, they were still the little kittens, always snuggling into her arms whenever she sat down to rest during the harvest. The truck rolled on the red dirt road leading to the farm. The grass on both sides was green. The cool smell of the countryside seemed to wash away all the dust out there. Tien leaned her head on Jack's shoulder, her hand loosely holding his hand that was holding the steering wheel. She smiled lightly. "I don't know why, but I feel happy as if I'm about to meet my old friends again." Jack glanced at her, his eyes gentle. "I don't know if the cats still remember me, but Mr. Dung will be very happy." He kept asking, "Will Miss Tien come back today?" At the farm gate, they stopped the car. In front was a large area of land surrounded by corrugated iron to prepare for leveling. The sound of an excavator was rumbling in the distance, dust flying in the early morning sunlight. Jack stepped down, took a deep breath, and smiled brightly. The large machine was scooping up soil, pushing it in batches towards the west fence, just as planned to level the ground to build the original material warehouse. Everything was going smoothly. Tien didn't care about the machines. Her eyes scanned around to find the little cats. And as expected, from the foot of the hut at the end of the garden, a meowing sound rang out. She exclaimed with delight, "There it is, the cat Muip, the cat Dom, the cat Bong, oh my god. It's bigger than a dog." She ran over, knelt down and hugged the cats that were approaching. The cats meowed in her arms as if they missed that familiar smell. Tien stroked their heads and laughed with tears in her eyes. "I missed you guys so much. I didn't expect you guys to be so good, still staying and not leaving. At that moment, Mr. Deng stepped out of the hut, his eyes squinting from the sun. He saw Jack and Tu Tien and immediately smiled toothlessly. "Oh, you're back already? Today's weather is nice. Good luck." Jack ran over to shake Mr. Deng's hand, while Tu Tien opened the food basket and handed it to him. "I brought you some fried fish and hot rice. Eat first, then go out to the garden." Mr. Deng was moved, his eyes shining with warmth and gratitude. "Yes, thank you very much. Whenever Tien comes back, Mr. Deng will have good luck. You hear?" The three of them sat down on the bench under the star apple tree in front of the hut, chatting animatedly about the progress of the project, about planting more pineapples and green cabbages on the northern fence, about the cats and the coming days when Jack's hospital would begin construction. Jack suddenly felt a very peaceful feeling. Amidst the sound of excavators, the meowing of cats, the sound of the wind blowing through banana leaves, he felt everything, from the million-dollar dream to this old piece of land, gradually blending into a part of the life he had always wanted, a stable, decent life, with love.